Hey, welcome back to Little Victories, the video game podcast where we celebrate every small win. I am your host, AndresPlays. We made it. This is the last episode of the year, so thank you so much to everybody for tuning in and watching all of those interviews. I really deeply appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoyed it and that you learned something out of it. In this final episode of the year, I reconvene with Westen, aka BigNerdGaming, to talk about our top 10 games of the year, and I hope that you enjoy it just as much as I did. Once again, thank you for watching and enjoy. Weston, happy holidays, man. Thank you so much for coming back here again to the Little Victories podcast, the most acclaimed end of year podcast, top 10 games of 2025. I'm very happy to have you here. This is our fifth collaboration together.
Wow.
The fourth one on my podcast and the first one of yours, which also congratulations on your podcast. I'm a little jealous because you get to raise your profile without me, but that's another story. Congratulations on 2 years of Big Nerd Gaming as well, man. How you doing?
Yeah. Hey, we're talking Little Victories. We're literally recording on the 2-year anniversary of Big Nerd Gaming.
Absolutely. I was just thinking, going into the top 10 games of the year and how we feel about the year. I do think that the state of the world is in shambles, right? Gen AI and some political decisions out there that we already know about. But and even the gaming industry itself, you see almost every week people getting fired, not getting the respect they deserve, right? Recently with Rockstar. So yeah, you see that, and then you see the output of marvelous games week in and week out. That we are yeah, we're spoiled for choice, man. It's just beautiful, and I think that at least I'm really glad that we have this. After a long day of work or after watching the news, we can come back and celebrate and immerse ourselves in this really, really beautiful worlds.
And despite everything going on, man, game devs are just, we'll be talking about it, but game devs are cooking, man. There's just, we were literally talking before, how it's just so easy. These games that are I don't know, 82, 83 on OpenCritic, it's a great score. And this time of year, it's just so easy to just pass them by because you're playing a lot of stuff right now. There's only so much time, So hopefully one day we can just do this, we'll do this for a job one day. And then I don't know. I feel like even if this was my job, I don't know if I'd be able to play all the games I'd want to play. That's how insane it is out there.
Yeah, so I'm just grateful about that. Anything that you wanted to say, about, your reception? You got 10,000 clicks, right? For the month of November. So that's a big deal as well.
Well, closer to 12, actually. We got to 12,000 almost. So just to clarify. But yeah, no, it's cool. I'm very fortunate that Google likes some of my lists and puts them out there.
It's always really exciting to see, when you got that collab with Michaela, right, with Hannah as well. It's great to see people getting together and people getting excited about us getting together. So I think without further ado, let's start. I'm really excited to talk about these games. As I mentioned, there's some that I haven't really talked about in any capacity on podcast. So I'm excited to talk about them with you. I'm excited to hear your perspective and to go in deep as much as we can, right? Okay, Lost Records Bloom and Rage, man, is we talked about this game before, so I wanted to give it another twist about why I felt so decided for it to be on my top 10 and at number 10. I think Lost Records Bloom and Rage does recapture that magic that was first seen in the first Life is Strange from Donut Entertainment, right? Which they're not their IP is now from Square Enix are the owners, so I think they always wanted to go back to that kind of teenager romance and teenage angst and all of that stuff. So I really liked it. There's some twists, right? There's some life and death moments. I really like the brilliance of the flashbacks, right? Because they meet. This is not a spoiler. They meet in two timelines, right? In, I don't know, 2025 and in the 90s. So it's really great to see the characters' relationships, depending on what you choose, to be closer to each other or to be more distant, depending on what you do in the flashbacks in the 90s. Of course, the artifacts in the 90s, they're pretty amazing. And the use of the soundtrack, right? A lot of what defines Life is Strange is the soundtrack. And I think in this case, they did that too. Like the song Myth by Beach House, which plays at the end of the first part. I think it hit me like a truck. It's a song that I heard many years ago. To recontextualize it in this scene, I'm like, God, like they still got it, man. You know, like because it's the same guys, right? It's the same French developers, kind of like taking another stab at it, and I think they landed well on it. Like, and I can see that the fandom, which is very passionate. I'm not a part of it, but they're already stan accounts of these characters, so I love that at least it struck a chord with the fans.
It seems like you are a fan of it, though. It's your number 10. You're part of the fandom.
Like I don't like fandoms, man, because if you step out of line, it will.
Yeah.
Like they will haunt you like wolves, brother. I remember last year when I talked about like I took a stab at Rebirth. What's the big deal with the whole Aerith and Tifa?
Oh no.
Yes, I do not recommend. Please, like, not even as a random question. Don't even engage with that fandom because they are intense.
Yeah. Clarith, and what's Leafa? How's it go? I don't know how I don't know how that one goes.
Are you a part of the fandom, brother? What are you telling me?
No, I'm not, but I find the Cloud Aerith shippers to be odd. I don't know.
It is, yeah. It's like they're too passionate, man. Like they're fictional characters, and of course, you can ship and put them in whatever situation that you feel like. But if I have to say something about it, I don't know why you have to offend me like that. That hurts. That hurts me. But anyway,
you're not built for that.
I'm not. I'm definitely not. Even though I've posted some spicy stuff over the years, I like wake up without thinking about it and just post it, and then a couple of hours go by, and then I go like, oh, why did I post that? But anyway,
regrets. Yeah.
Moving on.
All right. My number 9's next, right?
Yeah.
So my number 9 is Discounty, the grocery store simulator capitalism commentary game. It is, man, I think it really nails the grocery store gameplay. Like it's easy to pick up, but there's depth to it. I think the thing I like the most is, and I'm someone with a retail background, so I have experience doing these things. And if you work in retail, organization is everything, right? If you can't find if you're missing something and you got to look and you have no idea what pallet this is on or where it is, it makes life hell, right? Like it's annoying. It creates shrink, which means, lost goods, damaged, whatever. So I had a lot of fun. Like Discounty just gives you your supermarket. It gives you your back room. And it just lets you figure out how you want to organize it. And I had a lot of fun. And I'm not usually like when I'm in like an Animal Crossing or whatever, I don't get a lot of joy out of like designing my house. I guess I'm just not creative in that way. But I guess I am creative in terms of like, I can look at the space and figure out the optimal way to organize it. So I had a lot of fun organizing my grocery store so everything made sense. And then I organized my back room. So it's just like, because basically as the shift goes on, as items get sold, you got to restock it. And if your back room isn't organized, if everything's a mess, life's going to be a lot hard. It's going to be a lot harder to do that on the fly. You got to be quick sometimes. But then the secret sauce to the game, because I think if you were just doing the back stock stuff, it would get boring. But you're also the cashier, so you also ring people up. And the cashier minigame is just so fun. There's actually 2 versions of it. There's one where you have to type in the numbers and you have a list next to you of the item. So as it comes on the conveyor belt, like if it's a banana and it's $2 or whatever, you type in the 2 on the thing. And you actually move the joystick and have to select the button. There's a little bit of work involved with typing each button. It's not simple. It's simple, but it's not hard. It's whatever. There's a good balance to it. So, but you also have to kind of memorize the prices, which is really cool. So early on, a banana would come down. I'm like, all right, let's look at my price sheet. Okay. And, after a few hours, I was like, all right, boom. Like I see something come down and that's making me quicker, which is making the customers happier, which is making me more money. Eventually you unlock a barcode scanner and then you just have to flip each item based on what type of item it is. So once again, there's a bit of memorization involved as you keep going. But it's a lot faster, which it needs to be because customers start getting a lot of items. But the cashier minigame is a lot of fun. So I thought the backstock and the ordering products and just upgrading your store, because you can upgrade the shelves and stuff, was a lot of fun. And then the story is pretty cool too. Like it's a small dying town and this grocery store comes in and people are happy about it. But as the grocery store expands, people get weird about it. And, and the grocery store growing has its own consequences for the town.
Yeah.
But also the town is kind of in trouble. So it's an interesting dynamic. The area I live in, when I moved into town, there was a bank there that was from the friggin' middle, late 1800s or something. People love this bank, although apparently it's been abandoned for a decade.
Yeah.
And they finally just destroyed it like this past year, and
They
people were really
destroyed
upset
the
about
bank?
it.
Oh god.
Yeah, but like the bank is sitting there vacant for like 6, 7 years, right? And it's like,
Okay.
but then
Yeah.
people aren't happy with what was replacing it.
Mm.
And I don't know, it's like, what do you do, right? It's kind of a similar situation here. As the store grows, it has to supplant things that have been long gone, but people get sentimental about that. So I thought, it had strong takes on capitalism. I think it's, not super pro capitalism, but I thought it held the people in the town to an account too, because it's like,
Huh.
some of their complaints are kind of silly. Some are real too. So it's
Yeah.
nuanced. It's nuanced in a way not every game like this is. So
Yeah.
I thought it nailed a lot of stuff. I thought it really executed well in everything it was doing, and I appreciated it.
I mentioned this in your podcast back in August or September, was it? I and now I mention it once again to anybody who's listening. I really wholeheartedly recommend Westen's review of this county. I think it's one of his best ones of the year. I really like. It's funny because I usually do not like when people like insert themselves into a video game review. I just want to hear about the game itself. But the way that you did it and the way that like you post like wrote about some stuff about the US and how groceries work and the
It
Russian
was
going
it was
to
about
like
how a Russian president visited American grocery store and was like blown away
yeah.
by by that, and I thought that played well into how grocery stores and capitalism intermingle, and
Hmm.
like the Russian president, they're came away, impressed with capitalism. Now, I don't think the developers, even though I had one of the more glowing reviews of the game, I feel like the developers didn't like my review because it was too complimentary of capitalism. I don't think capitalism is perfect over here. Okay, I want to be clear on that. Capitalism clearly needs
They're like
controls
this guy
and
missed the
things.
whole plot.
Yeah, he just like we weren't trying to say capitalism's great. I'm not saying that either, but I'm saying sometimes I don't think any one economic system is perfect. I think the best economic system is a mesh of several systems, if you will, which is
Of course,
kind of
yeah.
what we have in a lot of developed countries. So yeah,
Yeah. I will try to get an interview next year with the Discounty devs, and I'll get back to
yes,
you about
and
how they
bring up my
really
review.
about how they
Yes,
really
yes,
feel.
yes. I need you to. What do you think of that one guy's review? That guy he didn't understand a thing about what we tried to say. I interpreted it the way I wanted to interpret it. Okay, and I thought
Yeah,
I
and
thought
and
there was
and,
nuance to it.
and
Whether
that's
you
hard.
guys liked
Yeah,
it
yeah.
or not.
Yeah, no,
Whether
no.
you guys liked it or not, there was nuance.
It's hard. Yeah, and I mean like there's really no one thing, and I think that is really why we get together and discuss these things, because all of the games that we talk about, like all of the perspectives that we really want to see, it's how we relate ourselves to the games. Like you know that Lost Records, it didn't do anything for you, right? But for me, it kind of reminded me of a time in my life where things were simpler, right? And this county did that for you as well. So if I love how people say like everyone's entitled to their own interpretation even if it's wrong. So like that's so passive aggressive. What I really want to say is that like I haven't played the game, so I don't know if
Yeah,
your
I haven't played Lost
interpretation
Records either, so
is wrong.
we're on the same page.
God
We're on the
damn
same
it!
page. I wanted to, man. It's a busy. There's a lot of games, man.
Oh my god.
And they really screwed up, man, because I feel like there's a lot of momentum, and they're up, especially after playing Dispatch, which we may or may not talk about later. But they really screwed up with their episode format. Two parts split up by months made no sense. It would have made more sense to have like 3 or 4 parts, or just I don't know. I did not like the way they did that, and that kind of screwed up some
Yeah,
of the momentum, in my opinion.
I will agree that the second part like lost a lot of momentum. I did see a bunch of people on social media be like, "Oh yeah, I never finished that game," right? Like it's a little disheartening, but I don't know. What are you gonna do? And yeah, excited to talk about that one game you mentioned in a moment. But before that, my number 9 I wanted to bring up is Eric's Home: The Stolen Dream, which I'm really glad that you played as well. That is one of the, the thumbs up. That is one of the games that like I didn't know anything about, and then I saw a showcase, and I just took the leap. I'm not big enough to just get any code that I ask for, but I was pining
Same.
for that game. I said to myself, like, I think there's something really special there, and it is really special, right? Like it's the steampunk kind of world that it's set in, the impeccable cutscenes. I think that like there's certain scenes where you can see, the characters' facial expressions telling you everything that you need to know without without explicitly saying it in the dialogue, which I think that's pretty great. And the stealth puzzle sequences, which you know that the stealth puzzle, like I just saw something on Reddit today that said that like all stealth games are actually puzzles, and I think that that is mostly like that is true for Eric's Home. I think that the puzzles, the way that you control the characters and you set them up in these certain positions is so clever, and I'm really glad that a lot of couple of friends found out about the game because of me, and they loved it too, which is always a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Because there's always the possibility that they'll hate you, but in this case they all liked it. Even you played it as well, you reviewed it as well, I believe. So I'm excited. I was excited to see the everyone's reaction to the game as well.
Yeah, it was a great rec by you. Our friend Hannah also did a great job wrecking that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna say every stealth game is a puzzle game, I don't know. Isn't every game a puzzle game then? Like if you're playing a first-person shooter, there's an element of puzzle in how you're gonna approach whatever. But yeah, this game's an actual puzzle game, right? There's like roughly one solution to every stealth scenario.
Yeah.
And it's less about sneaking and more about just kind of figuring out how to make the characters do what you want to do with the skills you have. Yeah, great puzzles. I really, it's like a really fresh way to do a puzzle game and to do a stealth game, right? Like it's a nice mix of both. The story is solid pretty much throughout, and the characters are. I mean, I think I said Hannah and Alva, the two like kind of main characters. They have some of the most electric chemistry this year, and I think like if I was to have like the chemistry award, right? I think last year would have been Red and Antea from Banishers.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and this year I think my chemistry award would go to Hannah and Alva. Honestly, like their chemistry was off the charts, man. I really enjoyed all their interactions. Just a really well-made game all around. It like just missed my honorable mention. It's a very solid game.
Really good call. What you mentioned about the chemistry, because I think all the way through to the end, you can see that they care for each other, right? You can see that in a very
It's like
toxic.
Us when we're fighting. Yeah, they're going at it, but you can see they care about it. It's a lot like us.
In a very toxic way, they really care for each other. And that's what we love. We love the drama. We love the high stakes. And yeah, I do think that Eric's Home: The Stolen Dream is a game that anybody who likes a good story and good, like, it's because it's an isometric game, so it's the sequences are manageable. I will say, sorry. And the next one is, I'm very excited because I moved some things around, is both 8s for both of us.
Wow, that's crazy. Actually, looking at this is one of 2 games that we have at the same rank, so that's fun. I mean, really, I guess number 1, that can happen more often, maybe number 2, but yeah, number 8 having the same. That's kind of neat. That doesn't happen, right? Yeah, Pipistrello and the Cursed Yo-Yo. A game in my podcast I said is the number 1 most overlooked video game this year. I was very surprised that it did not land a Best Indie nomination, especially if you were to tell me there were 6 games that got in. Because it's a better rated game than Absalom, and it's a better rated game than Ball X Pit, which I like Ball X Pit a lot. Absalom, I'm very early on, seems solid, but very early on in. But this game deserved more respect, man. This is one of the best. There's been a lot of great Metroidvanias the past few years, and I'd say it's my number 4 Metroidvania from the past 2 years, only behind The Lost Crown, Silk Song, and Crypt Custodian. Like, those are all games I hold very high regard. I really like Pipistrello. It's a bit of a Zelda, a bit of a Metroid game. They call it a Yo-Yo-Vania. Man, they nail everything, right? Like, the puzzles are so good. They're so well designed. It's like the very best of Zelda. They're creative with the yo-yo mechanic in so many different ways. Some of the movement abilities are so fun. The combat's very solid. Man, I just hate the upgrade system. That's the only thing that I think this game was even a higher rank for me if the upgrade system was a little smarter. The upgrade system almost always has you at a disadvantage.
Yes. I remember. If you want to explain it, I did not like it as well.
Yeah. So yeah, when you want an upgrade, you have to enter into a contract, and the contract basically, like, I don't know, say you want a health upgrade, but you have to earn so much money while under contract, and while you're gunning to complete this contract and get your health upgrade, your attack might be like 2 points lower. And it's like, you're always wanting to upgrade your character, right? So you're never like fully upgraded. Like, it doesn't feel that way because you're always fighting at some sort of disadvantage. Like, I think at the very end of the game, I was like, all right, I'm pretty much there, and I don't even know if I'll be able to get to this contract, so I'm just going without going for upgrades. But yeah, that was unfortunate. Everything else, like Metroidvania wise, this is about as good as it gets in so many ways.
Yeah, I do think that the upgrade system was not as intuitive as it should have been. And the upgrade system actually pushed me towards the accessibility to turning on the accessibility features, which are very robust, which, shout out to them. I really liked that you could, I don't know, you could reduce or turn off the fall damage, the damage the enemies make to you or you make towards them, like you take. And I like that, but I do think, and that's why I didn't really care for the upgrade system, because I was always a little bit overpowered. But if you're gonna play the game as intended, right, without the accessibility things, it definitely takes away from the enjoyment, because as you said, there's like you're always at a disadvantage, and the game itself is very fun. It's straight out like somebody unearthed a Game Boy Advance game that like they didn't release back then, and it just came out in 2025, which is absolutely brilliant. And the game itself is about a bat fighting right about against capitalists as well. I think there's a lot of games that kind of tackle capitalism this year, which I wonder why, but
Yeah, there might be reasons for that.
and it's like Pipistrello is Italian for bat, and then you'd think like, oh, so it's an Italian team. Wrong. It's a team from Brazil. So I don't know how the hell that happens. And there's even one of the places that you go to is like a whole football stadium.
Yeah.
So that is very Brazilian.
So I was fascinated by this myself, and I actually kind of looked into it but the developers are based in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
And that city, I wouldn't have known this. It is very known for its diversity. Like it is probably apparently it's the most diverse town in Brazil. So they actually have quite a bit of Italians there. Because I think I kind of made a joke about it in my review. I was like, this is the best Italian mobster game made by Brazilians ever, or whatever. And they're like, actually, there's a lot of Italians where we are. And I'm like, oh, well, cool. Like, so yeah. But no, the story, I think it fell out of my top 10 stories, but I actually had it like in my top 10 for quite a while, which for this kind of like Game Boy Advance, Metroidvania, Zelda, I mean, Metroidvanias in general are not games that tend to have great stories. Like Crypt Custodian, even though I like that story, even that story is not that great. It was a fun story, fun characters, a lot of fun interactions. I mean, we complain about the upgrade system. Don't let that scare you off, because it really is just immaculately designed in like almost every other way.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I do think that game, as you just mentioned, I think it was overlooked. I wish more people played it, and sometimes I do see it, at least on Blue Sky, right? Like sometimes I'm scrolling by and then I see somebody playing like Eric's Home, Pipistrello. So it's like we should be pushing harder for these games, because I'm not saying that we have this great taste or we're the authorities on anything, but I will say that at least in the case that we are really agreeing here, I do think that Pipistrello is a game that I haven't seen mentioned much, and that design and the game itself just warrants a playthrough. Even the bosses are so funny. Like I do think the bosses, they're like quite ridiculous, and they all have their gimmicks, and you have to adapt and whatnot. So it's, I don't know, it's a fun time. It's like a good ass game.
Yeah, play that game, please.
Yeah, Pipistrello in the Curse.
I'm looking up.
Yeah,
I'm trying to look up my real personal story real quick. But yeah, so my daughter, who is about to turn 4, is, we were trying to teach her about crossing the street, and she likes to watch me play video games. And I actually use that video game to teach her to cross the street, like, and look both ways. Because, you're in a city, like you explore a city, it's kind of your main hub, and there's like cars zooming by all the time. So I'd be like, look both ways, and then Pipistrello crosses. So then we'd be crossing the street, and she'd be like Pipistrello. Yeah, I said the best Brazilian video game inspired by Italian mafia stereotypes ever. It was my review headline.
Yeah, it's sure there are some stereotypes. Like you can from the very start you can see them. Like it's very unserious in many ways. Like you can see the inspirations. You can clock them as you see them. But yeah, you might want to skip this one, and I don't mean to our viewers. I mean to Westen specifically, because my number 7 is Blueprints. Let's go. We talked about this game before already, you and I. So I'm gonna be quick. I'm gonna be quick about Blueprints, and it's interesting because I was thinking back upon the first conversation that we ever had. You recommended to me a bunch of roguelikes that, roguelikes themselves are or were at some point a a genre dominated by indies and perfected by indies, to the point that even now you have God of War, Ragnarok had that, a roguelike mode, and even Assassin's Creed. And they of course, as AAA games do, arrive late to the party. So I find it interesting that you don't like Blueprints, but for anyone who doesn't know, you're this kid called Simon, and then you have to reach room 46 in a house, in a mansion with 45 rooms that changes every day. So basically, you have to create the house every day. So that's why it's a roguelike, right? I don't think it's really a puzzle game. I do think like it has some puzzles, but in the beginning, I hated it, but then I liked it because there's a game within the house, a room within the house that makes you do algebra. And I think I failed in like that course, and I failed trigonometry in high school. Eventually I passed it, but like I was notoriously bad at math. So there you like there I had to do it because the game every day gives you keys and items that you need. So like you can skip some stuff. You
You're
need,
talking about the dartboard, right?
yeah, the dartboard, yeah. The game, like you need to play ball, right? And I do think that all roguelikes do have that. I think that design of blueprints is excellent. I think that um in all roguelikes for me that I've started playing more of them this year, there is one run that I thought that like, this is gonna make or break the game for me because I'm tired, I've messed up, I've locked myself out of the house or out of building more rooms because I made some bad choices. So I'm tired, man. I've played this because it's based on each day that you go into the house, right? Every time you build it. So I had a really great run and I made some progress. And I think that really motivated me to keep going. And I think that that's the thing with this type of games. And I think I told you this. Like it feels like the developer is right next to you, like telling you to keep going. Like it just gives you that little push to keep going all the way through to the end. And something that I will say, and that because I talked about it with you in DMs, I was quite hateful of the blueprints. I mentioned, like, I DM'd you one night, like, I said, fuck blueprints, man. Like this game is so hard, like to crack. And then you
We were
said, like,
friends at that point.
see, we were,
Those are
and
back when I
then
liked you more,
as stubborn as I think we both are, I suppose me liking this game, I suppose I am a little bit more stubborn, but
I
I
suppose.
I went back to it and I eventually loved it. But I will say, and I apologize for those watching who are blueprint sickos, that I haven't gone back to the house after finishing, after reaching room 46, which a lot of people say that is just the beginning. So I don't know. I don't know about that. Like I've already spent 30 hours uh in that world, and I would love to go back. As I said, the design is brilliant. Like the designer of that game has a very special way of creating, like, of designing games. So I'm excited that game did well, and that I got the chance to play it. But it's definitely not for everyone. I'm not taking a dig at you. I'm not saying that you're not smart or anything. Please, like, let's get that out of the way. But
I play plenty of puzzle games. I'm a huge puzzle game fan, and I think that's what disappointed me about the game. Like, I just don't like the puzzles in the game. Like, they're very abstract. Some of those safe puzzles are just like bizarre, right? Like there's
that's
one
true.
puzzle in the game. It's like a very Silent Hill esque puzzle, but like the game has had no Silent Hill puzzles to that point. Like it's just not on my radar to
Hmm.
solve a puzzle in that way. And then all of a sudden it throws it at you. Like the whole, I mean, the game encourages notepad writing. Like I hate doing that when I'm playing a game. Like it's also why I didn't like Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. That's not for me. I
I
don't
get it.
enjoy that. But the RNG is very frustrating in that game. But yeah, I mean, the story blips that I saw were very interesting. Like it's a quite deep story. Like I give them props for that. And I could see how, yeah, and I had those couple moments where I unlocked a progression element, and that was exciting. I wish there was a few more. I think if keys and all that weren't such a barrier sometimes, I think I would have liked the game more. Because I think I say this, the moment when I kind of like started giving up on the game was when I unlocked, or when I found the locker room for the first time. And this is like mid
Hmm.
20s runs. I've done plenty of runs at this point, and there's like 13 locked lockers, and I'm like, do I really have? I probably have to unlock all these lockers because there's probably something important in one of them. I think I
Hmm.
looked and it wasn't anything that important, but you don't know that unless you look, right?
Yeah.
Like there's another room. I think it's called the Great Hall. It has like 8 locked doors.
Hmm.
You should unlock all those doors, but you don't know that, right? And
Hmm.
keys are so scarce, especially unless you unlock more, it's tough to want to do. It's tough for me to be like, I'm going to throw away this run because I haven't unlocked door number 7 in the Great Hall. The game requires patience. I think you can't go into every run thinking this might be the one, because like I was saying, I think you have to be going in actually willing to throw away runs, in my opinion. Because things you'll find will help you later. But said I didn't know that until I looked stuff up after out of curiosity, because I really don't like looking at guides overall when I play games. I think the other thing is you have to play it, and if you know a solution to a room, it's very easy. And I did this, right? So I found the garage. There's a car in that garage, or there's whatever. There's a garage door. I found the key on a different run to like unlock the garage door or whatever, and I became obsessed with that for like 15 runs. I wanted to unlock the fucking door, and every time I could find one or the other, and I would not find both. And it was the worst thing in the world. And like in reality, the way I probably should have played is I probably should have wrote down like, hey, if you see this, look for the garage after that. But you have to play with a very certain mentality. And like I said, I don't think I learned that mentality until I was done playing and I started reading more into the game.
Yeah.
I think
that's fair.
It's a game where you kind of almost have to play with a friend, or you have to look up guides. And I don't like to play games that way. Like I like to solve the puzzles on my own. So
totally fair.
That is why it did not quite work with me, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the like the wizard, the machine that's Alzara, right? That you can, give a coin. I really like those sequences, even though I barely understood what it was saying.
Yeah,
the fact
they were wild.
The fact that it's alluding to like a greater story arc, I think that is one of the elements that makes you want to keep going, to like really discover the whole story behind the house, behind the state, behind the whole family tree. I think there's something great in there, but it can be definitely very punishing. You're not the first person that I've heard say that they simply hate it. Like the RNG, suppose it was kind to me because I didn't really struggle. I did struggle, but not as much. But I did hear some people that I wasted 8 hours and I didn't make any progress, right? And it's just luck. So if I would completely understand. I get frustrated if I wouldn't make any progress, any tangible progress in a game within 1 or 2 hours. So I get it. But anyway, that's enough of blueprints. Now it's time for you to gush about a game that I know that you loved.
Number 6. Well, we're in my top 10 games of the year. We're at number 6, Andre. So yes, I do love all these games, especially from this point forward. That is true. Astute call. Sorry, I'm being cranky because you just put blueprints. I gotta lash out a little bit. Number 6 for me, and it's listed here as an AndresPlays honorable mention as well. So you enjoyed it too. Split Fiction. So a weirdly underrated game. I mean, it didn't get a Game Awards nomination despite being at a 9.1 on OpenCritic. That's kind of wild. Like I'd have to look up history to see how many like AAA level games got that kind of rating and did not make it the list. I mean, it's a testament to how amazing this year is, but that is kind of wild. But I guess, I mean, if you played It Takes Two, you have a rough idea of what to expect, but I just think it's better. I think the core, like just from the moment I jumped for the first time, I was like, oh, this platforming feels a little weightier, And then the way that the story moves between science fiction and fantasy this time, it really lets the developer's creativity go wild. So, and then the optional stuff, like in It Takes Two, you had like these little mini games you could play. They were kind of cool, but like the side quests or whatever you want to call them in this one are sometimes they're better than the main story. They're incredible. They're so good. They're just like these wonderful change of paces for like 5-10 minutes. Like I think there's one where you're just like, there's one where you're a pig. There's one where you're just like floating around, like you're just like riding kites, and it's like really pleasant and enjoyable. But yeah, so spoilers, but your top 10 moments of the year is showing up on BigNerdGaming this year. And I have my moments list, which is top 20, because of course, I always got to go above and beyond when I'm ranking stuff. I can't just make it easy. Split Fiction is on my list, my top 20 moments 3 times.
Wow.
The intro is the closest thing I feel like I've felt to a Nier Automata intro since I played that game. Like it's just so wild, and it's just one thing after another. The pacing is insane. The last chapter of the game shows up on my list because it's just incredibly creative. And there is one side story that shows up on my list, and I have played some funny video games this year. This moment in Split Fiction Side Story was the funniest moment I experienced in a video game this year. It made me laugh for like a minute straight. It was just so unexpected and so funny and weird. You may or may not know which one I'm talking about, but
I
it
believe
has a
I
twist.
might.
Yeah, it has a twist ending, and it's very good for a side story. So yeah, it's a very well made game. If you like It Takes Two, it's a no brainer. Like this is, and I'm starting to see more games that kind of inspired by It Takes Two, and then now Split Fiction. I think these games have been successful, and I think you're going to finally see more games because a lot of times co-op it's like in the game, but it's not really made like the way these games are, where they're just so handcrafted for it. And I'm excited to see more games do this because I mean, these guys are. God, I wish they could write better. The writing is awful. It's bad. That's the only thing that holds it back. But man, the gameplay wise, you can't ask for much more, man. It is phenomenal. It's really well made.
It is true. I do think Split Fiction, it is part of my honorable mentions because, I fell in love with other games other than Split Fiction, but I did very much love it as well. I do think that it's great in every aspect. Like every time that I played in sessions with this friend of mine, I had fun. Even though I wasn't really that close to him, I think that like that really even strengthened our bond a little, a little more after that. Like, we finished playing and we were like, yo, what should we play next? Even though that's the only game that we had ever played together. So I think it's like it has the potential to, be closer to a friend because of how much you're enjoying and how many wild situations the game puts you both through as well, which are very unexpected and funny. So, and as you mentioned, I did write best moments in gaming in 2025. I think it's more than 10 actually. But yeah, one of those mentions is the third act of Split Fiction because just as you have played this game for about 8 to 10 to 12 hours and you think like there's nothing else that this game might throw at me because I've already, I've seen everything that there is to see, and then the game is just flexing its most creative muscles. And I had seen other podcasts, I've heard other podcasts and read other people saying that like the third act of Split Fiction is incredible. And you're always take these things with a grain of salt, but when I finally experienced it on my own, I think we were both amazed, both my friend and I, and I'm glad that it did well because it's definitely like not only this year, but it's definitely one of the best co-op games like ever. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Honestly, like maybe there's better games that have co-op, but this is probably the best co-op game ever, I'd say for sure.
And that's a brilliant way to put it. Yeah, I really love Split Fiction. And one last thing I wanted to say is that like the goal the studio had, Case Light Studios, for making the evil CEO look exactly like Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA. Like, I mean, to have the goal to do that, man, like he's your goddamn boss, and you're like, we're gonna make him the bad guy.
If you're Joseph Ferris, I guess you can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
You got that right, man. It's a great game. Like as I finish my write up for BigNerdGaming, pick up a friend and play it. Like it's really fun and a very fun time. I am excited to talk about this game now. My number 6. It just sneaked up on me. Another game that I just logged some gameplay trailers and I was like, this looks good. Let's give it a try. And it's Constance. Constance is a game about burnouts, a theme that shows up in another game that I will mention soon. Surprisingly, very emotional. It's a Metroidvania. The hand-drawn art style is very beautiful. The Metroidvania elements are also quite well done. I did see some people, since my review, I was very high on it. I gave it a 9.5. I've seen some people be a little deflated with it because there's quite a good amount of challenging boss fights, and some platforming sections are also like, if you mess up, you're done for. So I think they're gonna add eventually some sequences that you can skip soon to make it friendlier. But I do think this game, it's about like this woman she's an artist, right? So she is swamped with work. Like the first scene that you see in the game is just her looking at a screen and just all of these emails and messages popping up, and then you see her like all stressed out, and then to the point that like she just goes to this world of her own imagination where this little 2D Constance is fighting with a paintbrush. The combat is very much like Hollow Knight. I think I like, I hope people don't crucify me for this, but I didn't really like the art style of Hollow Knight. I found it a little bit too somber, too depressive. I hope people can understand that. And I do think Constance in that way is very beautiful. Everything that you see, every enemy that you fight is kind of related to her life. And then there's some mini games after you defeat each boss that kind of show how burnout is affecting her mind. You know, like she's trying to paint, and then like her vision starts to like turn black, right? Because she can't even uh like just relax because the amount of work that she has. That game makes me tear up. I think that like it's one of those great games that marries the challenge of a Metroidvania and the um like, because he's an overachiever. The game is also kind of like saying that, you know, you shouldn't put yourself through the paces like this. You know, you should take a moment to you know, smell the roses and like relax. And the last scene like is very emotional, very touching, and I'm glad that I played it, man. Constance, go play it.
Yeah, I think that might be my next Steam Deck purchase. Honestly, I am trying to fit everything I can in, and I'm like, Octopath Zero looks cool, but
Hmm.
I'm completing that anyway before end of year stuff. So maybe I should fit in something smaller. And I'm a big Metroidvania guy, so
There
yeah,
you go.
I'm intrigued, and the Silk Song comparisons intrigue me as well. So my number 5 is next, and Constance is a good segue because my number 5 is Hollow Knight Silk Song. So, which I did enjoy the art style of because I think it is supposed to be I get what you're saying, but it is supposed to be an oppressive, dark sort of. It's a tough game, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of how it's supposed to be. But
Agreed.
yeah. So first Souls-like I would say I've ever completed. I've played a lot of Souls-likes. I'd usually abandon them. I just get to a certain point. I'm like, I'm good. It's fine. I'm not gonna keep going at this boss. But Silk Song, the game just feels so good to play. Like I was playing Shinobi. I've been trying to do my catch up. I'm playing Shinobi right now, and it's a great game, right? But
Hmm.
just like the control you have over your character in Silk Song is just like unparalleled, right? Like you can be in the middle of a movement, you can just like dash out whenever you want. Like there's no like animation where you're just like stuck in it forever, which is kind of needed because like just the movement feels so free and fluid. It's unlike anything else. So it just feels so good. The boss design is so damn good. It's just the attack patterns. I feel like they're surprisingly fair. Like the boss fights, you know, you'll probably get wrecked your first attempt or so, but man, you can start to read those the attack patterns pretty well. The hardest point in the game for me it was actually a horde fight where they sent a bunch of enemies at you, and man, this horde fight is so hard. It's so hard, and it's not because there's multiple enemies. It's not as easy to predict what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
there's almost a little RNG there. You could almost say there's some luck involved, but yeah, I mean, exploration could be a little more rewarding. I mean, if you really put the effort in, it's rewarding. But man, you have to put
Yeah.
in the effort.
You haven't talked about the runbacks, man. I think that's like
Yeah, the
required.
runbacks are they're tough. They're tough. They're not. They're not always fun. See, that's the thing. The game has parts that. Side note: I beat the game without any health upgrades, which
What?
is yeah.
Holy shit! I
I
think
didn't really
you're a
need
better
to. I didn't.
gamer than you give yourself credit for. I think.
I didn't. Well, that's. I guess afterwards I realized like, oh, I probably could have beat all these Souls likes. I just didn't like them enough to
True.
like
That's fair.
because Silk Song I put in like 4 or 5 days on this one fight because I could not make if I made one mistake it was over, right?
God
And
damn.
usually with the Souls like I'm
Yeah.
done, after a day or two. But this game I was like I want to beat this frigging game. But yeah, there's frustrating parts, right? Like
Hmm.
I still think the fast travel could be better. I don't understand why they make it so hard, right? Like even there's different sections of the game, and like if you want to get to the other section, you have to fast travel to one point in order to travel back to the other point, and then
Hmm.
like there's just dumb things like that that I don't understand. I don't think the runbacks enhance the game. People say, oh, it's trying to teach you skills on the runback that'll help you with the boss. Not so much. There's a couple enemies that kind of have attack patterns that end up being with the boss, but not that many. Flying enemies are so annoying. Like
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
zip and then zoom away, and that's fine. But they do it like in areas where you can't even pursue them because there's just lava or spikes or whatever under you, right? So
Hmm.
a lot of frustrating things about the game, but just the way it feels is so good. Like I think it's my number one for combat this year. It's my number one for platforming.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how good it is at what it does. Almost all of my complaints are with design decisions around it. And there's some
Yeah.
people that like those design decisions. I think they could be reined in just a touch and it would still have all the same appeals, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, and I thought I explored pretty well, but apparently I didn't because I said I did not intend to beat it without finding health upgrades.
Hmm.
But it's I mean you can do a lot of exploring and then you find something that doesn't matter that much to you. I mean I guess that's how a lot of Souls games are really.
Hmm.
Like with Elden Ring, you go through some area and then it's some equipment you don't care about. So that can happen in these games. But yeah, I mean I love playing it though. Like I still think about just the movement. I think like that big fight that I struggled with. Like I watch I watch combat sports. I did kickboxing for a spell,
Hmm.
and the momentum of the fights reminds me of real fights in terms of
Wow.
when you press forward, you can enemies like naturally in a fight, when you move forward, your enemy or your person you're fighting probably backs up. That's kind of how it
Hmm.
works, right? Someone's moving forward, someone's moving back, usually.
Hmm.
And it's like, but then when you move forward, right, it leaves you open to counterattacks. So you have to be careful. And it's like, in Silk Song, so many times I found myself rewarded for braving the danger and going forward. And it weirdly, I might have to dodge that counterattack or be ready for it, but it actually rewarded me for being aggressive in that way. And I appreciated that. Now, if you're backing up, you have your own ways to counterattack and you can play that way. But for me, I found pressing forward to be the better route to go. And said the momentum felt like a real fight. And there's not a lot of games where I feel that way. Like, a lot of games, especially as much as I like parries, like a lot of times I'm just standing there waiting to parry, right? Like, it's really incredible gameplay, like
Yeah.
best gameplay this year, I'll
There,
say.
there's
Just design decisions that bug me.
there's a lot of precise movement involved, but in the boss fights, both in the boss fights and the platforming. And you see, this is the analysis that like only a true Metroidvania fan could give. Like, I really loved that you honed in on that because you just reminded me. I watched this video of a platforming section that I don't know if it's required, but it was like usually you get like sort of checkpoints, but you had to lock in and bounce for about 1 minute, and you have to ascend a place that had like a bunch of spikes, so there was not a lot of room for error. And I think that like that's the game requires excellence, and as I mentioned a couple of moments ago, some developers are a little scared to do that, to be like, you want to progress, well, beat this section, right? Like really focus and learn and make some progress each time, even if it's just a little bit of progress. So yeah, I haven't played it yet, but I've seen some gameplay videos, and I really like Hornets. I really like that little song that the guy does. See my net or something, and I really like the boss fights. I've seen a couple of boss fights. I didn't see too
Yeah,
many of
they're
them,
great.
but there's a lot of charm in that game. I think that I really love that Team Cherry was able to not only stick the landing but actually make a better game than Hollow Knight, and they've already said that they're already
Yeah.
working on DLC. So yeah.
I abandoned Hollow Knight, not really because I thought it was like I wasn't struggling with anything. Like I think Silk Song's a lot harder, but Hollow Knight, I just struggled with finding where the frick to go next. And the fast travel points. I think they're a little better this time. But yeah. So first Souls like beaten. And for you, Andres, I think I'm gonna beat one Souls like every year going forward. And I'm calling my shot.
Once enough.
The Souls like I'm beating next year is gonna be Neo.
Holy damn. Neo 3. I mean, they make the online co-op stuff is always accessible, but I think they're making it
I
much
don't need that.
easier. And
I don't need that. I beat Silk
that's
Song without a health
that's
upgrade.
that's a
I
tall
beat Silk
order.
Song without health upgrades. I think I'm better at 2D games than 3D, to be fair. But I don't need it.
No,
I got this.
I know you don't stream, but I'd love to see that because I did see also a bunch of people crashing out, man. It was so funny and so a little bit sad, but mostly funny. Like seeing people playing Hollow Knight Silksong and just hitting a wall. Like you could see their like their motivation just slowly go down a hill, being like, hey guys, what's going on, we're gonna beat this boss and we're gonna explore this area, and then like they're simply unable to defeat a boss, and then they just like finish the stream, and it's so sad but so funny. I want to play it. I want to play it.
I'll say this, man. I did learn that with Silk Song. I don't underestimate a break with these games. It didn't make logical sense to me, right? Like, I mean, I play a lot of basketballs. Some days you're just not shooting the 3-pointer well. You don't know why. I'm like, why am I missing every 3-pointer I'm taking? And then you play 2 days later, and all of a sudden you can't miss. And it's just, sometimes just in the right mental state. I don't know, just your mind's working right. I don't know what it is, but sometimes it's good to put it down, do it the next day. So that was another valuable lesson. You feel like you're going to lose your progress if you do that. Like I am learning this attack pattern. I'm getting a vibe on it. If I put the game down now, I'm moving backwards, and it's like crazy how many times I picked it up, and almost on the first session, I like already did better than I did last time, and it's like, whoa, I haven't. It's my first time picking up the game. You'd think it would take a sec, but yeah, no, I learned a lot, and I'm definitely not going to play every Souls-like that comes out because there's just too many and there's too much time involved and frustration. But
True.
I'm making it a goal to beat one a year, and said I'm calling my shot on Neo 3.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned Neo 3 because it's coming out in like February, so that's very soon.
Yeah, I got lots of time to beat it before the year ends.
Yeah, but it's so true, and I'm really glad that you see it. I do think the Souls-like games, they teach you a lot, like honestly, about life, about taking it easy, about knowing when to take your shot, about not being greedy. As you get closer to the enemy health bar, running to zero. So yeah.
I always my other problem. Sorry to keep going on this topic, but
No, keep going.
my only other problem with Souls likes is I did compare them to sports, right? Because I'm like, people are like, oh, but that feeling when you beat the boss, and I'm like, I don't feel that way, right? Because if I am playing basketball and I miss 53s in a row, and then I hit my 51st, I'm not like, let's go, like no, I'm like, about fucking time. Like, about fucking time I beat this. I made this fucking 3, So that's
my God.
essentially like that was my mentality, right? With these Souls-like bosses, like I don't feel that way because I feel pissed off that I lost this many times. But I think you got to adjust your mindset, right? You got to adjust your mindset.
Yeah, you gotta play ball with these games, specifically with Souls likes. But yeah, Song, great game. I'm glad it got nominated. I'm glad it's getting its flowers. And another game that I do think was a great achievement from a small studio is my number 5, The Nightling. We've talked about this on your podcast, but I just wanted to give it a shout out. I've already interviewed the creative director. That episode is gonna come out in January. This game is incredible. It's like an open world that reminds me of Wind Waker. I think it's very bright. You play as the Nightling, right, which is the little helper to the knight, and then the knight goes missing, and you use a shield instead of a sword, right? Which unlike Zelda or Link, sorry. Yeah, I don't want to be crucified for that, but the game is like, and I think I mentioned this to you. I think they're nowadays a lot of open world games are either hyper realistic, right? Of course, influenced by The Witcher 3, or gacha games, which is they just. And I mentioned recently that I think gacha games, like they are open worlds because they just want you to spend more time in the game and they reward you with the currency, and that does things to your brain to just keep going. This game, I think, does something very, and I'm sad to say this, but it's something very brave, which is just like an open world that knows what it is. It's like 15 to 20 hours. It has puzzles. It has a parry mechanic. You can slide from your shield. You can glide, and the soundtrack, which was recorded with a live orchestra, is just absolutely mind-blowing. I really love it. And I don't know, for people who want like a low stakes open world game with the story's not too deep, but it definitely has its moments. And it has everything. Like, it has dungeons, it has boss fights. It's like very similar to Zelda in some respects, but it's also its own thing. So I'm glad that I got to play it as well.
It has a graphic style you don't see as much, so I feel like I grew up obviously in the era of SNES, and
Yeah,
but the 16-bit style does not make me feel nostalgic because I'm playing how many games that are 16-bit every year? I'm playing tons, right? So how am I going to feel nostalgic for that anymore?
that's true.
But that sort of PS1 and early PS2 sort of graphic style, you don't see that as much. So that part was cool. Honestly, the game didn't fully work for me, but that's okay.
Yeah, I thank you for being receptive. I know that you bought it because of my recommendation, glowing recommendation. So I really appreciate it. I really appreciate that you took the time, even if it didn't land for you. And thank you for not like dunking on it right now either. But yeah, yeah, no, because like you have your right like to do it. But I would
No, it's
I
fine.
would get why. I saw some people give some very fair criticism like on the Steam reviews. And it's true, like maybe it's a small studio. They're not inexperienced. Like this is their second entry, but I do think it's a very solid game that like it makes me want to go back to it. You know, as I said, like a low stakes open world with a
It's
starry eyed
pleasant.
character. Yeah, it's pleasant. It's pleasant. You know.
Yeah, it's a pleasant game. The story is pleasant. I did like the platforming. I think I have various complaints. I think the one thing that I just found like inexplicable, which I don't understand why they did it, was the armor mechanic for enemies. Like
Yeah.
you have to like stun these enemies, and then you have to like do a QT. That takes a second. Like you have to get close to them, you do a whole QTE to take off their armor. Meanwhile, you might have 4 enemies, and you have to like so you really can't. I don't know. It's very odd. Like you have to like kind of avoid them and kind of save them for last, but they're all kind of attacking. It's kind of weird. Like it's. I thought
Yeah.
combat had a weird flow at
Yeah.
times,
There's.
but it's a cute game. It's pleasant. It has pretty rewarding exploration.
Skill
I
issue.
did get. Did you get? The other thing that pissed me off is you thank me for not dunking on the game, and then I just immediately start telling you what pissed me off. I get my points, I get my skill tree, I unlock stuff. I get to a main mission, it requires you to unlock something in the skill tree,
Mm-hmm.
which I did not have nearly enough resources on. So I had to go
Mm-hmm.
back and do a bunch of side quests to get. I'm like, why did you do that? Why? What was that about? Like, just give me the skill at that point. Like, if it's required for the main quest, why do I have to unlock it and like grind to get for the skill tree? That annoyed me. The
Yeah.
glide, you recommended getting the glide. The glide's a lot of fun. The
Yeah.
glide's fun. The shield slide, I feel like I didn't have a lot of opportunities that I really enjoyed using it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it was fun when you were in the right spot,
Yeah.
but it was hard to find the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
But the glide's a lot of fun. I mean, a good glide in those games is just a blast.
Yeah, and there's a mechanic. I don't know how far you got, but there's a mechanic that kind of propels you even higher. And I did ask this to the developer, which is like I found brilliant because a lot of open worlds, like I think that the Night Link breaks the mold in because all of these games like Breath of the Wild have this mechanic where you have like the stamina bar and then you can kind of climb stuff and that's fine, but I think that it's too trite by now. Like do something else, like if you want to reach I don't know, a mountain or a higher area, like I think just having to climb and having to be aware of your stamina bar is like one of the most boring choices. And yeah, I know that Breath of the Wild was quite one of the proponents of that, and it was good at what it did. But I'm glad that this game at least said like, well, what if we give you like these kind of like mushrooms that you could jump off of and these wind currents that you can fly off of, right? Or the shield slide. So I think that it did some great things in an open world that I wish more games did more often, because a big game does it and then everybody just wants to follow suit. So I'm glad that like I felt like this game was, I mean, as I said, it reminded me of Wind Waker, but it also pushed some ideas forward that I would like to see in other open world games.
Side note, I Am Alive deserves more props for its stamina meter. That was, everyone cites Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I Am Alive. That game was very ahead of its time.
I Am
Just want to throw that out
Alive.
there because I was a big fan of that game when it came out.
All right, I haven't played it, but I will look it up. I Am Alive.
Ubisoft. That's one of the IPs that Ubisoft just sold to Tencent, I believe.
Mm.
I imagine you'll see it remastered or something eventually. It was well ahead of its time. I thought that game was really cool. Anyway, Nightlink. But yeah, one last thing with Nightlink. I did appreciate how clever some of the platforming was. Like you go, like you want to climb stuff, and it was never like a super obvious route. Like so, I think that was the challenge versus having a stamina meter. It's like you kind of got to figure out the path, and you can kind of be creative. Like there's a lot of times I climbed, and I was like, I don't know if I did that right, but I made it, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I
All
like
right.
that those are puzzles in and of themselves. Like, how do I
Yes,
get up there?
yes.
Yeah, that's good
Every
call.
game is a puzzle game. Every game's a puzzle game.
Oh my god.
Number 4. My number 4 is Dispatch, the
Hmm.
game from former Telltale Studios, a kind of a superhero society, I guess maybe a little My Hero Academia in terms of that, but then you play as like a dispatcher, so you send out the superheroes, and you are a former superhero that is now unable to do hero stuff. So, man, it's Wolf Among Us, Walking Dead Season 1, classic games, and I think this game is very close to those games, if not better. I think Wolf Among Us still might be my fave of that sort of Telltale genre, but man, it's just so well executed. Like, I mean, obviously the art is just immediately striking. Characters are great, tons of great. I mean, Laura Bailey's in there. Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul, yeah.
Like, they're phenomenal. The characters well made. Writing's Probably the funniest game I played this year overall. Like just consistent, good jokes, pretty fun decisions, and then the story, which tie into the story pretty well. I mean, there's obviously with all these games, sometimes it's like, I don't know if that really mattered, but it matters in spots and gives some extra flavor to the game. And the actual dispatching where you send out the superheroes, surprisingly fun. A lot more fun than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could do a few tweaks there, but man, just eh, like just the amount of great moments, the great characters, the great writing, the great art. I was into it, man, and I
Mm-hmm.
loved the weekly releases of episodes.
Mm-hmm.
It was just every Wednesday, man. It was my 2 hours. I had a blast. Like as soon as the kids were to bed, I had dispatch on, and I'd blow through those 2 episodes, and then I'd talk to friends and get excited all over again about the next week.
You even wrote a post about how, like, if you didn't play it weekly, like, you missed that train, right?
Well, I wrote it with as it was coming out. I was like, this is actually the best way to play it. Like you should play it now so you can be part of the moment. And I had a few people tell me like I bought it, after hearing that, and I'm glad I did because it did enhance it. Because it's just fun to be like as gamers. We play a game, and that first day, man, is so fun, right?
Yeah.
When everybody's booting it up, everybody's pumped up, everyone's posting their old opening screenshots, and you hear those initial posts, and people are like, "Oh man, I'm having a great time with this. Oh man, this." Like the big releases, you see that. But as time goes on, for those of us, within our communities that are respectful, which I don't follow people that just post spoilers, right? So, you get a day or two in, all of a sudden everybody's at a different point, right? And the whole sense of community fades. And with Dispatch, and in the past, Telltale did these releases, it'd be longer, but then it would take like a couple months between episodes. And that could be cool, but it could kind of kill the buzz, right? Like we talked about
Mm-hmm.
with Lost Records earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And Dispatch, just having it 2 hours each week was just so perfect because the hype built, and I saw the sales build every week because people were getting excited and they wanted to be a part of it. And that is something that not all TV watchers have these days because of this new, the binging
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But growing up, probably the same for you, right? When we were teens and stuff, it was like when Lost was coming out with its, or I guess Game of Thrones recently was probably the
Yeah.
last one that really felt like this, where it just felt like everybody was waiting for the next episode, man. It's really fun. And
Yeah.
as gamers, we don't get that feeling very often, but Dispatch gave us that. And it was as good as any TV show, in my opinion, like just with the writing and everything it does. So
Weston, you don't
awesome
watch
game.
TV,
And
man. What are you talking about?
I don't watch TV.
Why would you
Well,
say
I used to watch TV before I had kids. And when you have kids, you kind
Okay.
of got to throw some things. Oh, you got to put some things to the side, right?
That's true. Yeah.
I wanted to play sport, or I wanted my sports. I wanted video games. Right, TV's, you're done. 'Cause
Something has to
I'm
give.
focusing on these, Yeah. So and movies as well. They're gone. But one day,
Yeah.
I will
No, there's
do that more.
it's and I really love your encapsulation of it because it's very true. I think as you said, I missed that train. It's one of the successes of this
For
year. It's one of the successes of this year that I love seeing because they sold like 1 million copies after a little while when all of the episodes came out. I don't know what they were expecting, but I think that strategy of building up hype each week, and as you just said, I think like gaming wise, it's been a while. It's been a really long while since a game did that, which is that sense of community, that sense of talking about the spoilers or possible outcomes of the decisions that you've made, or the character arcs and whatnot. So I do think that it's great to see that like a lot of gamers are, or like felt that, as you said, because I do think that like there's some correlation there. Like there's some people that love watching movies and TV shows, but in gaming this never happens. So yeah, it's I'm glad that it found an audience.
Yes. And the one last thing I'll say is it keeps getting better as it
Mhm.
goes, right? Like each episode seems to get better than the last. And the only episode that I didn't like is there's 8 episodes.
Uh-huh.
Episode 5 was the one where I thought was not the best, but even that episode has a great ending and has made the funniest moment in the game. If I was ranking my funniest moments of the year, it's probably my number 2 funniest moment behind the split fiction moment I discussed earlier. Like this credit song is just hilarious. It's a karaoke song and it's kind of improv and it's really funny. But yeah, so episode 5 has a fall off, but then it ends strong. And then 6,
Mhm.
probably the best episode at that point. Episode 7, best episode at that point. Episode 8, which is the last episode, best episode at that point. So just the way it keeps getting better and just end strong is awesome too, man. That was a lot of fun. Love that game.
Yeah, I do think that, not all video games have great writing. And I do think that one that very much translates how great writing can be, that, you can see in some movies and TV shows, right? Like, when I first saw Dispatch, I wasn't as intrigued because I've watched Invincible, I've watched The Voice, I've watched that James Gunn DC show that's also very funny. I can't remember the name right now, but you can see like the soul of the game, that like, oh, it reminds me of this other stuff that I've seen. So maybe I'm not quite right in the mood for it right now. But as you said, like something has to give in the case of movies and TV shows, but you can still get that feeling with this game, right? Like there's also that interactivity with the dispatching, which I'm intrigued because I still haven't played it or wrapped my head around that idea. But yeah, I don't know. I like it's superheroes, it's pop culture, and I'm sure there's a lot of references, right, to like, I don't know, current events and like poking fun and breaking the fourth wall and stuff or something. I don't know.
A little bit of that, yeah, for sure. Yeah, they crack a lot of jokes. They do have some. They have some control though too. They're not, some games trying too hard. I feel like
Yeah.
they time their punches well, right?
All right. That's actually like one of the most intriguing things that you've said so far. Yeah,
I've said a lot of intriguing things. I've said a lot of good things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like that is a good point. Like, some games or pieces of media kind of lean in a little bit too much on the jokey things, to the point that it's
it's telling
diminishing
jokes. Like,
returns.
It is it is a workplace comedy more than anything else. That's kind of how it describes itself. So it is telling jokes, but I think for a comedy, it does a pretty good job of not going too nuts.
Right. Well, I will play it, but I suppose that now when it's on sale, right? Because like the hype is
the moment's passed.
Yeah,
the moment's passed.
The hype's gone now. Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I can respect that.
Yeah, sometimes you do, like, you gotta be in it or it's gone. And talking about that, my number 4 is Promise Mascot Agency. Promise Mascot Agency is a game that is very wild as well. It's about a yakuza, a disgraced yakuza, played by the voice of Kiryu Kazuma, Takaya Kuroda, and he is in a small town trying to revive a business of live mascots. Like, in Japan, we talked about this before. There's a lot of mascots, right, in each district. There's a lot of mascots in this game, but they're real, right? They real. They have jobs. They have to pay the rent, which is like that concept in and of itself is just wacky as hell. But everything about the game is like screams individuality, right? Like it's just so funny. The dialogues as well, the gameplay, which you drive around the truck. It sounds like it could sound trite, like it has the very soul of a PS2 game in the best of ways, not in a hurtful way. And the soundtrack, of course, which I also got to interview the developer for this podcast, the Little Victories podcast, Alpha Chrome Yayo. The vibes are great. Like it's a soundtrack that I still listen to this day, alongside the Nightlings soundtrack.
Crane Game song is elite.
Yeah.
If you're doing the only reason I ever played it was because the song. So I was like, the song's pretty vibe. I like the vibe. I like the vibe a lot, actually.
Yeah, and I think like what sold me about the game, because it starts really seriously, right? But then there's this card game, right, that when you send your mascots to different jobs, which is like, I don't know, to animate government events, sometimes they get stuck in, like, they get in problems and they get in like the most unserious situations ever. Like there's this mascot that's called Tofu, right, which is just like a giant block of tofu, and like this mascot like gets stuck in between like two doors and is like, oh, he's in trouble, and then like you have to do the card game to help him out, right, which is just like a very silly game, very goofy inside and out, but it also has some very like in between, like the dialogue in between the wackiness. There's some really great moments, right? I think that especially in the third act, right? Like Pinky, which is, this giant thumb who's following you around. She also has these moments of vulnerability as well, So I think that the game strikes a great balance in between being funny and when it needs to get serious, it does. I know that you mentioned, because you talked about this in your last podcast, that because you owe a debt that you have to pay every so often, and the mechanics kind of like go, once you reach a certain point where you like can make money on the side, the money is unnecessary at some point.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts. I thought the balancing was so good early on, because I always felt like you're in debt and you have to make payments every so often to keep like mobsters from killing you or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for a lot of the game, man, I was grinding, man, because I was like, dude, I am close to death, man. These people are gonna kill me. Like, it is, it's a constant, but it was a fun battle. Like, it was because I never lost the game, but I always felt like I got to keep working, right? Because I need money.
Gotta hustle, yeah.
And yeah, around the last quarter of the game, man, the bouncing, which was so strong, just goes out the window. It's done. Like, it sucks after that. Like, unfortunately, and that is probably like this would probably be an. I did mention on my last podcast as an overlooked video game this year. I gave it an 8. I think the balancing was the only thing that held it back from it being an 8.5 for me, which would have been at least honorable mention range for me, like for my list at the end of the year. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's just so fun, like driving through the open world, like, open world, you see all the icons. We've talked about this before. It can get very overwhelming, but with this game, it's just everything you do is like takes 2 seconds, right? Like, you drive through, you just throw pinky at something or whatever, and you're done, right? So it's just like so much fun to just drive through and just like knock out icons, and the card battle system's just so goofy and fun. It's a very pleasant game. I really had a good time like the whole way through. I was just disappointed in the balancing. Yeah, definitely one of the funniest games I played this year. Just goofy as hell. It will probably win the nerdy for hardest game to play with my wife around, because there's just a lot of things in that game you can't explain. Like, why is this leg hitting on you? Why are you talking to a literal pinky?
Yeah.
And that's what's funny. It's like the mascots are not people with suits on. They're living organisms. They're fucked up Pokemon. Basically.
Yeah, there's a mascot. Like, all of the mascots have a very unique personality, and there's a mascot.
Yes.
That I wouldn't know how to explain it, like, because even I had a hard time explaining. Like, there's a mascot that was kind of, let's say, kind of passionate about Japanese adult videos. But like, they go on a they go on a rant, and I'm like, when I'm playing it, I'm like, what the hell is this mascot on about? And like, you can see Pinky and your main character, like, just reacting the same way, like, yeah, whatever, do you want to work for us or not? Like, just please stop talking about this.
But man, it's like there's so many mascots in that game.
Yeah.
And like I said, you bring up Tofu. Played that game months ago, played many games since then, and this is just like one random side character, like not like some big main story character in that game. But you say Tofu, I immediately remember him, and I remember his personality, and it's just like, man, they lean into their gimmicks in really funny ways, but they're like I played another game this year called 100 Line. I just played the demo, and that game had all these characters. They have these tropes, and they just get so annoying. Like, there's the chick that wants to kill everybody all the time. Like, she's like the Harley Quinn light, if you will, or whatever. And it just gets annoying, right? Like, there's the one guy that likes his sister way too much, right? And I feel like this game was much more masterful with how it like deployed the tropes and the gimmicks, and it leans into it in a funny way. So,
there's a girl who
really
there's a girl who, like, your Yakuza character can go on and talk to his mom, right? And he's very serious, he's very careful when talking with the mom, and then like this girl arrives and she's like, yo, were you hitting on my mom or what? Like, it's like there's so many funny moments that
it's probably if I would say funniest game of the year, like, until I played Dispatch, I actually think Promise Mascot Agency was probably my number one for funniest game of the year. But
damn, that's it's high praise.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very solid game. Like, 8 out of 10 is, in this era of video games, even an 8 out of 10 can sometimes feel like, man, like there's a bazillion 8.5s and 9s out there to play. But it's a very, very solid 8. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my number 3 is Rematch. Been talking a little about sports, but here's the thing about me. I don't like sports video games. I think the thing with sports video games is I like to play sports, right? So I play a sports video game, and I'm like, man, this doesn't feel like the sport, like in a variety of ways, right? And I think Rematch is really, and like the games I usually do like playing are like NFL Blitz or like NBA Jam. Like, I like the stuff where it's not trying to be real. Rematch is weird because it is arcadey, but it actually has very real feeling physics. Like, just playing defense against someone playing offense, like just your positioning and like your goal is kind of to poke the ball from them. But if you go for a poke, your balance isn't there, right? So if they avoid the poke, they can get past you, like stuff like that. Like, playing defense really feels like when I'm playing indoor soccer, which I've played plenty of in my time. Like, feels a lot like that, except obviously you have like the Rocket League wall around there too. So Yeah, and the other beautiful thing about the game that I really enjoy is I think when I play a multiplayer game, because I do not play many multiplayer games either.
Yeah.
I looked, and since Overwatch in 2016, there's only like I believe 4 multiplayer games I've put 50 hours or more into, and that is Overwatch, Apex Legends, Halo Infinite, and now this.
Wow.
And yeah, that's it. But I think the last game that really won me over multiplayer wise was Overwatch. Like that is one of the most fun multiplayer games I've ever played. And I think what I really liked about it is that you really truly have to coordinate with your teammates, right? Like if I jump on Halo Infinite, I mean I was usually playing with friends, so it wasn't a big deal. But it's not like you really communicate with anybody. You just kind of do your thing. You can get some kills, you can still do well. Rematch, man, you truly everyone is their own person, you know. It's not you can't pass and then you get the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You have to play with people, and if you try and solo it, there's a stamina bar. You're probably not going to succeed. Like you're going to run out of stamina. The defense is going to catch up to you. You're going to get surrounded. Whatever. Like so, just when I play basketball, because that is my main sport, because I am 6'3". Just anyone
You just
curious.
had to. I was wondering when it was gonna come up, but yeah,
yes,
go on.
there you go. When I play basketball, man, I mean I like to score obviously, but man, nothing to me feels better than setting someone up with like just the perfect pass and giving them an easy bucket. And that is the beauty of this game, man. Is I mean, I can't tell you how many times I had the ball in the wing, goalie came to me and like had to respect me, thinking I'm going to shoot, and then I just pass the ball into the box, wide open guy, open. They put it in. They feel happy. I feel happy. I love that feeling. I love the feeling of teamwork. I think that's the beauty of sports. I like some solo sports, but man, team sports, that's what makes them great. Is the camaraderie, the unselfishness, and rematch captures that like nothing else that I have played. So I really enjoyed it. And like it got dinged for not having crossplay. It has crossplay now. It had a couple weird performance things, which personally I don't think is any worse than most multiplayer games. Like when I'm playing shooters with people, they're always like
Connectivity
lag,
issues.
you know, like yeah, they're constantly complaining about lag or whatever. So yeah, stuff like that's annoying. I didn't think it was that much worse than any multiplayer game I've played.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten better in my opinion as patches have gone on. Haven't played it in months because they've just been so busy with this release schedule, but I'm really hoping, you know, as January to get back to it for at least a few weeks because I really love that game. It's my number 3.
I knew that like this is like it's very high. I didn't know that you loved it as much, but I did know that you liked it. I perceived that you liked it when you started sharing these gameplay videos of like a good pass and a good shot, because you don't usually, like, I mean, sometimes you might share some I don't know, some screenshot with your thoughts about a game, or you know, your blog posts of BigNerdGaming, but I think it's kind of rare, fair to say, that you don't usually like download gameplay videos and are like, yo guys, check out this shot, right? Like, so when you did that for rematch, I was like, damn, this guy's really enjoying this game, huh?
Yeah.
And I'm glad, like I've seen you, you know, we were on a server and I remember on a weekday night, you know, you being like just sending like the signal like, yo, who's up for some rematch later tonight? Like, so, you know, when you're like that invested, it definitely transcends, you know. Like I'm glad that it's your number 3, because it's these kind of games that, like, I think, just like I mentioned, Promise Mascot Agency, I remember I was just gonna go back to do a couple of things, and then I couldn't put it down. It was just so easy and fun to just drive around and do the collectibles, like get the collectibles and stuff. And then, like, I think you get that similar feeling in rematch that, oh yeah, just 1 or 2 matches, right? And then you're like, you know, it's getting late. I need to go to work, but I'll do one more or something. I don't know.
Right, 100%. And that's the thing I really like about the game is like it's 6-minute matches. Now, obviously, it goes a little longer than that depending on what happens, but yeah, I mean, it was so easy to get in and out. And I could not tell you how many times our mutual friend Andrew would be playing. And I am, you know, as a parent now, I'm pretty disciplined about my bedtime usually because I just don't want to deal with it the next day. It gets hard. And man, I can't tell you how many times Andrew suckered me into 2 or 3 more games with like one more match. And it just keeps happening because it's like, we can't go on that loss. Well, we just won. We got to play again, man. It's a lot of fun. And it's so easy to just, you know, play a match and fit it in. So yeah, great game, man.
Yeah, it's from the team that made Sifu, right?
Yes. So
that's
very talented developers.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that deserves to be mentioned, because I look at the gameplay. I haven't played it, and even as a Mexican who doesn't really like soccer at all, I see the gameplay and I can see that it's
a shame.
You can see Westen just shaking his head. Yeah, you can see that it doesn't feel like a FIFA. It feels like an arcade game mostly. So I think that that was a brilliant take on soccer as a video game. Yeah, I'm eager to play
It's a
it
great
sometime.
mix of arcade and realistic. Great mix. Like it nails it.
All right. Well, we've talked about this game many times before already when it came out in February, right? March, and then again, I think in your podcast, or I think we had already talked about it. So Wonder Stop, which is my number 3 and your number 10. I've been thinking a lot about this game and trying to say something new about it because, as I said, we've already mentioned it in my review of Constance, or no, wait, sorry, in a post that I made about video games being about burnout, right? And you mentioned Dungeons of Winterberg, which was an excellent game that came out last year, and we talked about it. And then you have Constance, and then you have Wonderstop. And a friend told me, like, how many games did you review this past month? And I said 10. And a person said, so he said, bro is the target audience, right, of this genre.
So true.
Which is so very true. Yeah, like he clocked me, like, yeah, like it's so true. And I think that's why that game hit so hard for me, because yes, it's like it is part of Little Gator Game, it's part of Dungeons of Winterberg, but it's also like a more like in a more gentle way, right? Because Dungeons of Winterberg talks a lot about over tourism, and Wonderstop is about the struggle of burnout, the struggle of not being able to let go, and the damages that it can cause, in your mind and body. So I think that it's a great game. It has great writing as well. We talked about the even right now, like I didn't even write it down, but like the Dick Warhart books, which are like this satire books on a like a spy type 007. So I don't know. I think that the main character Alta's stubbornness really hit me, right? Because I think we are like just this past month in November, I did review like 6 or 7 games, and I remember I was drowning on review codes, and then a friend was like, "Yo, you want to review Winterboro?" And I was like, "God damn, I did want to review that game," so I said, "Just give it to me." When I really shouldn't have, because when I finished reviewing all of those games, I was just like, God, I need a break. So yeah, I think that that game is one that I remember fondly. It's a good reminder to, as I mentioned, of contents as well, to take it slow. And of course, the soundtrack by C418 is one that I just instantly listened to the main title, like the main title track, which is called Wonderstop as well. And I feel this sense of kind of relief, to like not take things too seriously, because I think that in this day and age, you said very smartly that something had to give. Like, you cannot play games, take care of your kids, watch movies and TV shows, like it's literally impossible, or you will lose sleep, or it will cause some sort of damage to your situation, right? So you need to pick and choose your battles, and I think that's like what's at the core of the game, and that's why I loved it.
Yeah, it's just such a good package. It's like you said, the soundtrack strong, the art direction strong. Boro has held on for top character this year. Boro's still at number 3. That guy,
Immovable,
which is impressive because I mean I've played some great games, great casts, right? Awesome character. It's a great writing, great themes. It addresses its themes really well. Has a nice twist at the end. I think my only complaint with the game is I actually thought they could have done even more with the story and like really gone in some unexpected directions. There's a point about midway through where I thought it was about to, like, I don't know, maybe even become a horror game. Like I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't really go as unexpected as you'd think. And to be fair, I think this developer has a track record for doing that, so maybe that was part of my expectations.
Yeah, David read it, and I talked about that with, oh God, I forgot her name, sorry, but Jenny Wyndham, thank you for that save. She was also interviewed for this show, and she talked about how she had to be very clear in telling people that this is what it's about. It's about burnout. It's about the struggles with it. It doesn't have this late game twist that, for the guy who made the Stanley Parable you would expect, right? So it was difficult for her to like hone in on that, but I think it paid off in the end, right? Because people eventually did come to see the game for what it was.
I love the ending too. The ending is, I thought, phenomenal. Like I think the credits sequence, I think, is still hanging on in my top moments list, just barely. Yeah, and it's at the tea is pretty fun. Like it's not over the top hard, but it has just enough going on where it just mixes simple and complex just well enough. Like it's just good enough. it's never too involved,
Hmm.
but it's not like mindless, right? And
Yeah.
actually, we talked about this before, but I got quite good at like I was really devoted to being on top of things because if you don't have a clean
Oh yeah.
teacup, you got to put it in the dishwasher. It takes like 2 minutes, right? You're waiting. If you don't have like a tea leaf ready, you got to sit there and wait for it. So I was like always trying to have a tea leaf ready, always trying to have clean dishes. Like I was trying to be all over it. And that was actually kind of fun for me
Hmm.
to play the game in that way, which it wasn't like high stakes or anything, but just my way of preventing myself from having to wait for a couple minutes because I do tend to get impatient as we've established a little bit. But yeah, so just does a great job. I mean, it's just I think it's not always the kind of game I would like, but it's just
Hmm.
does everything that it tries to do so well that it's just kind of undeniable in my opinion.
Yeah, I was worried. There's games that you recommend, and there's kind of like profiles that you have for the people that you know. And I was worried about you playing the game, right? Because you have a platform that is burgeoning, it's growing, and you have people that, and you've seen it, right? You have people that value and respect and follow your recommendations. So when I see you like playing Eric's or Nightling or Wanderstop, a part of me is a little bit worried because I'm like, this guy doesn't pull his punches, right? Like we've seen how you talk about blueprints, we've seen how you talk about, I don't know, other games that like I get a little worried. So I'm really glad that at least Wanderstop, was like hit for you at some level, I suppose.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, so it handles burnout really well. I don't know if it handles it like you said. There's been a lot of burnout games, a lot of burnout, a lot of capitalism games lately.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dungeons of Hitterberg is just so good with burnout,
Mm-hmm.
and Luis's reflections are just like so well written. I feel like internally I'm comparing some of the reflections in Wanderstop to that. I'm like, it's not quite on that level, but
Mm-hmm.
they're still very good. And I said, Boro, man, Boro himself is worth the price of admission, man. That guy is just
Yeah.
a very well crafted character.
Such a lovable character, and also sometimes a little bit stern, which I love.
Yeah, that yeah, I think you might be talking about this too, but yeah, that's one of my favorite parts is when I'm like, what do I do next? And I like, there's no, I think I cleared up all my tea. There's no objective. I was like, what do I do next? And I go up to Burrow. I guess I got to talk to Burrow, right? Like, it's kind of weird. The game isn't like giving me a marker to talk to him, but I guess that's probably what I have to do. And then Burrow's just like, just chill, dude. Like, you don't have to do anything. That's not how I operate. So I think I went about cleaning dishes and getting myself ready for my next tea. But yeah, it's really cool game.
All right. Now I'm very excited to talk about our number two, which is something that
Our
doesn't
number
happen
two.
often. And, for those listening, I'm putting now on the screen a plushie of Freenos, which I really, really love. I really loved.
Oh my god.
I'm
I
trying.
thought about ordering that for my daughter, but she just because she likes Freenos a lot.
Yeah.
She has her kitties. She has little kitties and she calls the black kitty Tula.
Uh-huh.
But because she watched me play that game a bit. But she just has too many stuffies. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
I
no,
did not
that's
buy her
that's
Freenos.
fine. And that's the thing with the game. I'm trying to like save money or like buy gifts for my nieces actually or my family, right? And I just saw it like on sale and I just bought it because, and talking about Hades 2, from the very start, I think that after every run, right, the character of Melinoy is established very well that she is dead set on one goal, and that is the game's mantra from the very beginning, which is death to Chronos, right? So you know what you need to do, but of course, you will die a lot, right? That's the nature of the roguelike games, of roguelikes. And something that I kind of was even looking forward to, even if I won or lost, was that like after you die, you go back to your base or whatever, and Freenos is always right there to greet you. And then if you interact with Freenos again, Melinoy can give Freenos a big old kiss, on his forehead. So I think that like that made me feel very endeared to the characters because the combat mechanics are like, and the systems in the background, right? Because they give you all of these boons on each run, different boons. I think they're brilliant. Like I really would like to take a peek at how that works because unlike blueprints, in this game, every single run you feel like you're making some sort of progress. That is I think where the brilliance lies on Hades 2, and it took me by surprise because I just played Hades 1 this year. So Hades 2 was, as just said with rematch. Like one night, man, I went at like 4 a.m. to bed because I was like, just one more run, just one more. Yeah, I really regretted it the next day, seriously. But that's how good it was. Like that's how hooked I was in that game. And it's yeah, like it really is a masterpiece. Like I will defend that game. Yeah, till the end of time.
Yeah, best roguelike of all time, in my opinion. And it's funny because I mean I did like the characters. The characters are strong, but I didn't care for the main story as much, especially compared to Hades 1. I think it's not as personal. I mean, it is personal, but it just she doesn't have the same level of backstory with. Yeah, I mean, there's stakes, but I just don't think she has the same level of backstory as Zagreus did with everybody that he was interacting with for obvious reasons, and which if you play the games you'll understand. But like, man, the characters are fantastic. But I mean, yeah, it's the gameplay. The gameplay, I cannot believe how much they improved on Hades 1, and it makes me think like, man, Supergiant needs to make more sequels, right? Like, because holy crap, man, I can't believe how much they improved on Hades. Because Hades 1, big strength of that game was that like every run, there's all these different weapons, and they all felt good to me. Like I enjoyed playing with every weapon in that game, and you could get a cool build. And with this game, they had in these extra like magic attacks for each one, so you have more options, and they just cook, right? Because there's all these weapons once again that all feel good and very unique. And I felt like with each weapon, there would be a move. Like I'd play a run where I'd focus in on one move, and it would kill like the charge special attack. I would just have a run that really built around that. And then I'd play my next run and it would just be built around the basic attack. And then my next run with that same weapon would be built kind of around the cast and then using the basic attack. It was just like every run was so different. And it's unbelievable how every time you play a run, they just eventually you stick it out and you can find the build and you just keep finding awesome builds. And I'd start a run and I feel like there'd almost be post-run depression for a second because my build would be so good. And then I'm like, oh, I'm back to nothing, And then all of a sudden, like within couple minutes, really, I'd be like, hell yeah, like I'm back, baby. Like, and every run, like there's so many ways to upgrade your character, but they balance it pretty well. Like, it's not full on RPG where it's just like you keep increasing your attack or HP. Like they're more creative upgrades, which so you definitely feel stronger. But it's until maybe the very end of the game, like you don't feel like, oh, this is just a total, I'm not even trying, in the first section anymore. Like it balances things really well. So, yeah, it's just so satisfying. It feels so good to play. Just unbelievable how well they mastered that formula. Like they literally can't do a Hades 3 because there's no way they could do that much more off this gameplay. I'm excited to see what Supergiant does next, man. That is one talented team, man. That is a very talented team.
Yeah, this definitely feels like their magnum opus. I really think that this is the best game, and you can say that about every studio that has iterated, but it really feels real in this case. That it's the ultimate expression of their formula, right? The Supergiant formula, I think. Yeah, I'm really glad that you mentioned it. I'm really glad that we have this back and forth because I would have missed it otherwise. And you said it correctly. I do think that when the game kind of probably in the background knows what type of attack you're leaning into, maybe the normal, the special, or the cast, and then it gives you the tools that you need to actually lean into that type of attack and just go ham on the bosses, right? Like there's some really killer and you know what, I think it's even more balanced than Hades 1 because I think none, like in Hades 1 there's some certain boons and builds that can just melt every enemy and boss, and in Hades 2 I never quite felt that overpowered. I mean, it's maybe once or twice, but overall I never really felt like it was a breeze.
I always felt strong,
uh-huh.
but not invincible.
But yeah, that's the perfect way to describe it. Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, great game. If you like the roguelike genre at all, and I mean, honestly, even if you haven't played it, you probably should try this one because, man,
yeah,
they did a great job.
Absolutely.
God, the art. I love the character models so much. I love how much detail there is. And I love little things like how there's the, chibi version of Melanoy and the board game thing.
Yes, the board. Oh, beautiful. Yeah.
And like when you take a bath, like there's a different drawing of her. Like, man, they did some really cool stuff. Like, it's just there's so much love and care put into literally every element of that game. Like, and I mean, so many lines. Like every run, you keep expecting to start hearing like the same line over and over. And I forget how many runs I played. Probably well over 50. And each time, man, there's something new going on at Tartarus every time. It's so impressive, man. It's just an incredible amount of care put into that game.
Yeah, 100%. I am really glad that earlier this year I played Hades and I was like in the bandwagon because I did buy it, right? I got my Switch 2, so I was like, well, there's not that many new Switch 2 games, so it's Hades 2, let's give it a try. I didn't play it like in one go, right? Like in a set week. I played it on and off up until my last run where I finally, got the base ending. Every time it was just so fun, right? Like with every different weapon, right? Because it also has this mechanic that it entices you to use a different weapon because you earn a bit of currency if you choose like the weapon that the game wants you to choose. So I think that is a brilliant mechanic to make to keep things interesting, because I think that as gamers, as players, you just want to marry with one type of gameplay, and the game entices you to try everything there is to offer, and it does it like, and then you try those other weapons, and you're like, yeah, or they are all great. Like there's no one weapon that is the best.
Absolutely. Play that game.
Hades 2, yo.
All right, my number one.
This is
People
going to
may have
come
guessed.
on a surprise. Yeah, I don't think anybody's expecting it. Like,
Expedition 33. It's my number one. Let me scroll through my my ranks here, okay? You're going to love this. Spoilers for Big Nerd Gaming Awards, but I mean, these could change a little. Number one for best story, Expedition 33. Number one for best graphics/art. Number one for best music. My number 1 and 2 favorite character this year. My number 1 and 2 favorite performance this year, and plenty of others in the 10 through 15 range. I have it at number 3 for best optional content. I have it at number 3 for best combat. Hades was 2. Hades was number 2. And yeah, I do not have it on best platforming, believe it or not. But
yeah, those mini games were killer, man.
Yeah, but man, it's just that. But that's what I'm talking about. I say that to say, like, it's just such a beautiful package, right? It's such a strong cast, incredibly well acted, a story. Act 1, people love the intro. It didn't hit me as hard. I mean, I think just knowing what was going to happen, kind of hurt that. But it just, once we get to later on, man, really, once you get the cast, once you get CL, if I pronounce that right, it's been a bit, but like, I think once the cast comes together, like, I really started to like their chemistry and their flow, like the campfire conversations. Every time, man, every time they were blowing me away. I think I was so impressed, and they're not that long. Like a lot of JRPGs, like you get into these side or even Western RPGs too. Like you're at camp, like Avowed, a good example. Like I'd get into camp in Avowed, I'd start talking to somebody, and man, I would get bored pretty quick. Like I was like, they're just rambling on, and there was a couple good things in that game with that stuff. But the campfire conversations are so succinct, but they accomplish so much so fast, and there's just like some crazy moments that just hit you out of nowhere in there. I mean, the end of Act 2, the ending, and the choice you have to make is so compelling, and both endings I think are so good. Like I watched my ending, and then I went back and watched the other. I'm like, man, that was both so good. Like they both just hit me in different ways, and man, like I just love that story. I love the characters. Verso is my number 1 character this year, and I list him as best character, not favorite character. Now, usually my best characters are my favorite characters because I like good characters, right? And like Verso is just like this very complicated guy. I was just so fascinated by him and his inner struggle and his journey. He's got a lot going on, and his existence brings up a lot of interesting questions just about everything. I don't want to say too much, but
yeah.
Very fascinating character. And I mean, my God, Jennifer English, that's my number 1 performance at this point this year as male, man, just nails it. She's so good at everything she does. And then all that stuff, the story, you just walk around and it's just this like ethereal vibe with the visuals, and there's just all this stunning art direction, and then incredible music. It's just a vibe. I wish there was a few more QOL, quality of life things with exploration.
Yeah,
that was my one real nitpick with this game.
I think they're working on that actually.
Yeah, that's when I'm replaying it, because like there's these so the game, you're an expeditioner going to defeat this paintress who's she paints a number and everyone that's at that age dies, and you're expedition 33, so everybody's like roughly 33, and like so you can find all these old journals in the game, and every time I found them, I loved reading them, but I didn't find that many because you really have to explore and look.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to spend a lot of time exploring because it's not that hard to go in circles in that game.
Agree.
And you don't know if you found everything or not. So, like, just having, like, oh, you found everything, like a check mark would have been nice because then that would have incentivized me to explore more. But I still enjoyed the exploration in spots. Like, the world map is so cool. Unbelievable kind of dioramic design, really
Yeah.
beautiful, like, amazing music. And then the combat, man, it's really can't recall a turn-based RPG where each character was so different. Like, obviously you play a turn-based RPG, everyone has different moves, but like every character in this game has their own like little random system. It's really, and then you can like you have these passives that you can build up to and like really create cool builds. And my Verso, I found a sword that lets him attack twice. And my entire Verso was just built around doing basic attacks because I would just build up a gauge and be able to do other stuff. And I would be doing all these extra things to the enemies. And I was like, man, I can't believe I made this build. Like, in this game, this is so cool. And then, of course, there's the Sekiro-inspired elements with the parry system.
Yeah.
Every enemy wants to fuck with you. They do all these crazy pauses and stuff. But it's kind of needed, right? Because you don't move in the game, right? So you don't have to manage movement. So if they made it too easy, I think that would have hurt the game. So it's not easy to master some of those attack patterns, and I think the balancing is good because I actually didn't think I was that good at it, but I was good enough with my builds and my turn base that I still was able to get through the game no problem. There was just a couple optional parts where I really had to hone in and get an attack pattern down. But yeah, man, I did my top games of the 2020s not that long ago, a few months back, and I think I had Expedition 33 as my number 3 game of the 20s. Like, I had Cyberpunk and Rebirth above it. Yeah. Phenomenal game. I know you play the bit on social media, but I know you did at least enjoy it a little bit.
I want to clean. I want a clean slate, man. I've come around with this game. I think that I really did love it. No. Let me speak for a moment. I have to say
hostage situation.
Yeah, like, let me speak for a moment. I think that it is an excellent game. I replayed recently Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns, which is a game that has this kind of active turn-based combat, which, you have to build your stamina or ATB bar, and you can do like a perfect parry as well. But I found out that, it's great, but it's not that great, really. And I think that Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is a work of passion, love, and serendipity as well. They got the combat animations. They got a guy from YouTube from South Korea, I believe. I've watched a bunch of documentaries. It is well known that Lorient Testard, Lorient, I don't know how to pronounce it, but
close enough.
Yeah, he got him off of SoundCloud, and this marvelous job that he did, timeless job with the music. So you got that right. Like, I think everybody did an amazing job. Not only the combat animations, but the combat mechanics themselves with the pictos. I had already seen this. I focused on Lune and Mayel as my powerhouses. So they were pretty great. Like, it was very fun. It entices you to break the game after a certain part that I don't want to spoil anything, but it felt pretty great to master the parrying and to break the game itself, right? Like, if you choose this picto, that will do this, and then that will cause a chain reaction with that other picto. And I think as an avid JRPG player, people who might be listening and are like, but you said people should play more JRPGs. I think that I've changed my mind. I've come around because I love it. Like, I really do love the game, and I think now because I've played so many JRPGs, I was able to pick it up so quickly. And that doesn't mean that the game, or that that people who are playing it and are loving it should play more JRPGs. Maybe, yeah, if they want to. But I think that if you have played more JRPGs, that will only enhance your experience. It will not diminish it, which is what I at some point thought. So yeah,
you should definitely post that video. I feel like of you saying all that. That was great. I enjoyed it. It was this character arc you've been on all year has led to this moment, to this podcast, and I'm glad I was here for it to watch it live.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, obviously I don't like, I think all the Expedition 33 stuff is the back and forth has come from because there are people that are a little too over the top about it, maybe a little arrogant about it. And look, I grew up on JRPGs. That's like one of the first genres I really love. And I had some times where I thought the genre just did not push itself forward enough and got stuck in the same doing the same stuff over and over. And we're long past that. I think a lot of JRPGs have done a lot of interesting things, especially in recent years. And I think if you like this game, you should look for more JRPGs to play. I mean, it's not the same game, obviously, but like I don't see why you wouldn't like Metaphor. If you like this game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you might like Rebirth and the remake. I mean, it's a little different, more action focused, but like there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I mean, yeah, it's inspired by these games, and I do think in certain ways it does things I really like that I hope more JRPG, like just like it was inspired by JRPGs, I do hope some JRPGs are inspired by it as well, to do different things with its turn-based systems, or the ones that got rid of the world map. People like the world map. The world map is pretty cool. Like I like
Yeah.
a big world map. I think most fans of the genre do.
Yeah.
I think it was very inspired by those games, and I think those games are very valid that it was inspired by, and I hope it now inspires some of these games. Like it's just the cycle of art in a lot of ways.
Yeah, that is very true. I loved flying with SKA, right? Of course, that callback to, the famous airships in Final Fantasy. Obviously, as you said, the campfire conversation. There's a conversation that I even shared on social media that Verso, as much as I loved Final Fantasy 16, I thought that, it was just, doing his usual gravely voice, Ben Starr. But there's some like heart-wrenching moments after some pivotal moments in the story that like Verso talks with Mael, and like I could feel my like spine tingling even right now. I remember it, and it's like you can feel the emotion in that scene. So yeah, as I said, I'm really glad to champion it now. Like I'm really glad that it did well, and I'm glad that it's your number one. Like because even if it's not my number one, it's like it's in many people's lists. It's been called generational, transcendental, or even the best game of all time. And you know what? I can see it.
Yeah, it might be my favorite video game story ever. I've been really sitting with it, but man, I don't know, the endings in particular. Like I haven't been hit by a video game ending like that. Well, except for another game we might talk about is pretty up there too. But like that, the ending of Expedition 33 is kind of a Last of Us level ending for me, and that means something for sure. Yeah, Verso, like Ben Starr's performance, he was my favorite performer in 2023 as Clive, but I wasn't sure he had the depth that he showed here. And after certain moments in that game, I think back to past conversations in the game, like, and I remember Ben Starr's delivery and like things that Verse was saying, and I was like, whoa. Like I didn't even realize how good his delivery was until I had broader context and understood everything about the character. Like a lot of depth in that performance, and yeah, Ben Starr, he showed a lot. Man, that guy's a stud.
Yeah, he's
Not just looks, his performance as well.
absolutely top tier actor, man. He seized the moment. Since 2023, he's been freaking killing it. And Jennifer, what's
English,
Jennifer English as well. Like I'm really glad to see them grow and yeah, continue to succeed. Yeah, great chat about that one. I can't believe it's been almost 3 hours, man. Whoever's sticking around, thank you so much. All right. Let's go. Let's wrap this up. My number one game is Expedition 32. I don't know what's gonna say that. My number one.
Yes.
Oh God! Oh no, please! It's Dead Stranding 2 on the beach, which I never usually say that second part, but whatever. I was very surprised by this game, by loving this
My
game
number
so
7,
much.
side note.
As yeah, it's Westen's number 7, but like that doesn't matter. Like no, I'm no, I'm kidding. Like I want to hear your thoughts on it, but I was very surprised myself to be so high on that game myself because I had never played any Hideo Kojima game before Death Stranding, and I played that in 2021, and I liked it. I liked the mechanics, I liked the story, the music, obviously, but I wasn't really that high on it. I know some people really loved the first game, but this second one, I think that the music really impacted me even more. Gameplay, I found it very, very calm, like very something that I would look forward to, and something that I was very worried back then because it came out in late June. So I played it, and then some review codes would come in, and then I would have to drop it, and then I would have to play it, and then I would play it again, and drop it, and play it again. And I think I finished it until August. And I was kind of worried when I was dropping it that I wouldn't click with the mechanics again. But to my surprise, I was connected. I was connected to the game's story and gameplay all the way through. I played it for I think about 70 odd hours. and there's some very absurd cutscenes that only Kojima could make. Right, there's some sequences that will leave your like jaw drop. Like, what did I just watch? Like, it's very wild, very eccentric. Kojima is like the ultimate auteur. I can definitely say that. But yes, there's some issues with the over explanation. There's a lot of repetition. But as I mentioned in the piece that I wrote for you, like the best moments of 2025 in gaming, the cutscenes, they're so beautiful. They're so beautifully directed, every angle and every like the dialogues in the cutscenes are great. Like it's the rest of the game where the dialogue really falters, where it's like I was just skipping everything. But the cutscenes themselves make it all really worth it. And of course, all of the performances, right? Tomorrow, Lia Sidhu, I don't know, I really love that. And of course, finally, the ending. There is a clear message that I think that in this day and age, a lot of people need, which I really don't want to spoil because it's a quote from a philosopher, and I think that message that the game gives, it's essential in today's world. Which basically boils down to the future will not be better on its own. We have to build it. So that message just hit me like a truck, man. And yeah, I think that's why, like, even to this day, I think about the song called Minus 61 from Woodkid. I still listen to, and it still gives me shivers, even though I've listened to it a lot this past year. But yeah, I don't know. That's why it's my game of the year.
Yeah, I
Western,
had a
like,
weird
I hated
relationship with
it.
this one. Yeah, no, it's my number 7. I played the first game last year for the first time, and when I first played it, I had issues with it, and then I kind of finally I saw so much hype. I was like, all right, let's do this before 2 comes out, because the 2 trailer really wowed me, like the one where Higgs is like fighting with Sam and the guitar, and it's like it was at the Game Awards, and I was like, whoa, okay, maybe I should give the first game another look, because that's wild. That game was so amazing to me because I think there was a friction that was kind of beautiful almost, and 2 was weird because that gameplay loop is still like really fun and different and unlike anything else. But I felt like they got rid of a lot of the friction in this game, right? And that, for me, I thought that hurt it because I think that friction was important to the experience. Now, I reached a point in the game, I was like, all right, I turned off any help from anybody. I turned that shit off. Done. And so I had no help from anybody.
I remember that.
And
Yeah.
I stopped using vehicles as well. I
Wow.
started going on foot everywhere, unless there's a couple missions. I mean, a fair bit still where you kind of have to because they just give you so much cargo. But
True.
I made the game harder. I tried to recreate the first game for myself, and I never fully could because combat's a lot easier this time too. And like in the last game, if I saw a truck of people coming at me, I'd be like, I got to get out of here. I cannot. I'm not messing with them. And in this game, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go fuck them up. So there was parts of the gameplay I had to work on myself, but it's still like a fun loop, man. It's still cool. It's still like unlike anything else. It's so friggin' beautiful. The soundtrack, I thought it was a little too happy in spots, but there's some incredible, like some just amazing songs still.
Yeah, you mean that song by the VTuber? Like, that felt so weird. But yeah, no, I get it.
It's just it's funny. Like you have the radio now and you can play a song whenever you want. It's like, man, I don't know what it is, but this game, this formula, I feel like suffering is better for it because, like, yeah, this radio makes doing everything more fun overall because, like, you have this great soundtrack playing in the background. But I really miss those moments where I was hitting up a hill and then the music hit. Man, that was unbelievable. And this game doesn't really have that because it almost gives you too much. It helps you too much. It wants to make it pleasant for you, and I don't think it should be pleasant. So yeah, I made it less pleasant for myself, and that helped a lot with my enjoyment.
You
But yeah, I
it?
mean the performances, the performances, the characters, and I mean, look, any qualms I had about the game, and I do think the storytelling pacing isn't perfect.
That's
I
fair.
think there's a very long stretch in the middle that is kind of dull. Man, the last, I believe it was chapter 11, was incredible. And then, yeah, the last 2 hours of that game just blew my brains like the entire time. Like I was just like this, like for 2 hours straight, man. Like they weave this web.
Yeah.
And they take a long time to really untangle it. But once they do, it's just one plot thread after another, just everything getting wrapped up in perfect fashion and just like surprising and emotional and heartfelt. And I was like, I can't believe this. And I am a father, and man, the ending, the last line, man, holy crap, dude. I mean, it's tough to say, like, go through this game that could take you 40, 50 hours.
Hmm.
Just do it for the last 2 hours. I don't know if there's a game on Alive I would say that for, but this might be the one.
Damn.
And that's not saying this other stuff's bad, but wow. Like that ending, I think Expedition 33 is above it for the ending just because like it was more powerful.
Hmm.
My jaw just dropped, right? But Death Stranding 2's last 2 hours are just consistently like doing cool. Whoa, 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 just hitting you one after another. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Two of the best video game endings I've ever seen were this year. Two of the best. Death Stranding 2 and Expedition 33. I mean, it's my number 7 because of the issues I did have, but
Hmm.
man, the highs in that game are very high.
Yeah, that is so interesting because I liked myself the fact that it was more pleasant, right? I took the truck wherever, like I was just
Gotta suffer.
playing
Gotta suffer.
playing tunes that I loved, and I was looking forward to just listening to those tunes and like taking it all in. You know, these beautiful landscapes. You know, sometimes the moon would look huge, and I think a lot of people took the same picture that I did, which is amazing, right? Like the game kind of does these things where it wants you to like sit back and be inspired by everything around it, right? Without really telling you like, oh yeah, this is where you should relax, but it's just right there for you if you wanna soak it all in. And you know, all of the other elements that you mentioned, I think they're very valid. I think it's more of a personal preference. I think you acknowledged that when you wrote about it, but yeah, I could see why it could diminish your experience because you know you wanted something like because the brilliance of the game relies on, at least the first one, is that it's made walking interesting, as strange as it sounds, right? Like it made analyzing the terrain and knowing exactly where to go and knowing how much stuff you need to carry and any like supplements that you might need. So that feeling of kind of like going on a road trip going on a road trip is exciting, and I think like there's few games that recreate that feeling. So yeah, I'm glad you liked it, you know, despite your issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's my number 7. Great game, like really great game. I gave it a 9, and man, that ending, like I was like dead set on like maybe even an 8.5, and which is, I mean, still a great score, right? But
Yeah, yeah.
the ending solidified as a 9, and I was almost like, do I give it a 9.5 because that ending just like was so insane. I'm telling you guys, this last 2 hours, like I'm listening to the Stage Select podcast, and my friend Julian's been playing the game and like finally getting into it a little more. Like, man, it's just like it's funny to hear people talk about that game because I'm just like, if they're not to the end, I'm like, man, I can't wait till you get to the end. I cannot wait till you get to the end because I just love it, man. And so the last line, the last moment, I love it. I love it so
Yeah,
much, man.
it's
I have never cried playing a video game, man. And I'm telling, and I wrote, that's what I wrote about. I was like, man, like I wish, like this game made me wish I could let myself cry, you know, in a moment like that because it was just so beautiful, man. And it was something that very directly related to my life, you know. It was a very beautiful moment. So it's a goal, man. Maybe next year I'm beating the Souls like and I'm crying, man. Let's go. Maybe at both. Maybe
maybe
crying
both.
while I play the Souls like. Yeah, we'll see.
God damn, that's a high bar that you're putting out for yourself. But I support it. I support it. Thank you for making the time. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for making the time,
Oh man,
for being accessible, for talking about games in such an analytical way, but also not taking away the emotional scenes. Because I usually lean in onto how a game makes me feel, right? And sometimes I put uh, the technical aspects on the side. You know, I don't know, maybe some people like me because of that, but I really like that you've struck a balance. As I said, man, your star is growing. You're really, I think you're at 2 years of BigNerdGaming. I think that like you're on a roll now, and I'm excited to see what, you know, the future holds for you.
thanks, man. Look, I think that's why we have so much fun, man. Is we play well off each other. Sometimes we have such diverging tastes, and sometimes so when it works together, man, it's like hell yeah, like the same game as Entrees, man. It's a good feeling, man.
Yeah,
I said I'm probably downloading Constance tomorrow, man. I have faith. I think that's going to be one we both like. Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man. It's always a great time, and we're definitely gonna do this again. You know.
hell yeah, brother. Well, thank you so much, Weston, and thank you so much, everybody who's listening. Yeah, happy New Year, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and all that. Thanks for hanging out. And there you have it. Those were our top 10 games of the year. I really do hope that you enjoyed it. And please share your favorite games of the year as well, because I am always very interested in hearing about them. We also have a Little Victories Discord server, which you are most cordially invited to, where we talk about games, our hobbies, and our lives. So please consider joining us to keep on talking about our favorite games. Once again, my name is AndresPlays, and this is the Little Victories podcast. We'll see you again in 2026. I already have some very interesting conversations and interviews lined up for you next year, so I hope that you keep joining us in this endeavor. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next year.